Hey guys, Buster Discovery Island Boy here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about The Lost Ones 1 and its remastered version. This is almost one of my favorite Treasure Island games, but I'll explain why in this video it also isn't. And also for this series I will be putting the original game and its remaster right next to each other. For instance, in this episode I will be talking about The Lost Ones 1 and its remaster, and then in the next part I will talk about The Lost Ones 2 and its remaster, and then I think you get the point. So with all that out of the way, let's get into it. So, The Lost Ones was a collaborative project between Mara and Blackout, with the first game releasing on March 13th, 2017. The entire series of fan games was a spin-off of Treasure Island, that just in general has very different lore but keeps some of the same characters, and it's a fairly unique twist that I enjoy. Though the first few games were kinda rough, and you'll see why as we go throughout the series. So, the story of the original Lost Ones 1 is that you play as someone named Mark, an animator who works for Disney who decides to take a break and go to some Disney staff exclusive cabin to practice his drawing there. Which, in fact, do exist. I did not know about these until now. However, during one of those late nights, he hears strange noises throughout the cabin and even sees stuff like shadows moving through the windows. This causes Mark to get paranoid, and he decides to set up a security system. However, then he proceeds to break his leg due to him falling through a roof when trying to set up one of the cameras. Most of the story is revealed in a code game called Codebreaker, where the story is revealed in several logs. I never have heard anyone talk about this code game once, but I think that's just because there's not a lot to it. There are a few renders which I showed on the screen, and those said logs I mentioned, and for what it's worth, this and the story in the remaster of the game are both considered non-canon now, so don't take this info too much going forward. So the gameplay between this and the remaster is basically identical, but there are a few differences I will mention later. There are three main mechanics in The Lost Ones 1. The first one is the alarm mechanic, which is kinda like the camera shutdown mechanic in the normal Treasure Island games. However, this one is special. It's extremely fucking obnoxious because, as you can guess from the name, every time you use it there is a loud sound that goes on for way too long. This mechanic is mainly used towards Lost Henry and some custom night characters, but I'll mention those later. The next mechanic is the lamp, which allows you to turn off or overcharge it. This one depends on whatever. If Undyne comes to the room, you want to overcharge the lamp, which will flash Undyne and scare him away. And when Lost God enters the room, you turn it off. The face will occasionally barge into the office, and to get rid of him, well, you can't. Literally, you just have to wait until he goes away on his own. You are just stuck while being unable to use the camera for a few seconds, which can be life or death depending on the AI. Which, yeah, the AI isn't good, but it was worse than Casta 2.0, so eh. However, my main issue of the game is how long each night takes. One night goes on for roughly 8 minutes and 30 seconds, and it just draws on and on. There isn't much else for TLO 1 apart from the extras venue and a custom night. And the Friday the 13th night has an Easter egg because reasons. I guess Mara was just a huge fan. That is all there is for the original Lost Ones 1, so with all that out of the way, let's get to the remastered version, shall we? Okay, so with the remastered version, we first have a change in the story. Now, it probably won't make sense in this video, but essentially the protagonist in this game is named Colt. Colt is attempting to make a ritual to kill Hourglass. However, Colt then fails and dies at the end of the game instead. The way the story is told is with opening dialogue at the start of each night, which is basically this game's version of a phone call. As rumored, this was voiced by Blackout, but as far as I can tell, the original voice actor isn't known.
Now go burn in hell where you fucking belong, you diabolic son of a bitch!
The game of course got a graphical overhaul, however the mechanics were reworked a lot and they are extremely well executed. The lamp mechanic is the same as the first, but now it relies on a proper scroll wheel instead of just pressing the L button. When it comes to the timer in this version, well, there isn't. Instead you have to pay attention to the background ambience to tell the time. From 12 AM to 2 AM you could hear storming, from 3 to 4 it's silent, from 4 to 5 there are birds chirping, and when the night is over you can hear a heartbeat. I actually think this is a really neat mechanic, which is just dying to exist in more fan games. You can also deal with the face by using the alarm when it enters a hallway or dining room. Now this game is almost perfect. Add some stuff to the original which makes it less tedious and more enjoyable, but there is one major caveat. The game crashes a lot. It mainly happens on the later nights, which really sucks because if that wasn't the case, this would honestly probably be on my top 5 Treasure Island games, but because of the simple issue of not being able to fully play the game without bugs, It ruins it. Still in my top 7, however. But that is all I have for The Lost Ones 1, so with all that out of the way, let's move on to the conclusion. So The Lost Ones 1 was a terrifying and old, pretty unique Treasure Island game. It just in general has a nice vibe and some neat mechanics, it's just ruined by some bugs. But at the end of the day, definitely in my top 10. If I had to choose to play for any game right now, this would probably be up there. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video, and thanks to the supporters of this channel for keeping me going. And that includes people who are in Spain, by the way. Especially since school and life get in the way of these amounts, I need some motivation to keep this going, and you guys are doing exactly that for me. I would like to do this full time someday, and you guys are helping so much. I can't thank you enough. Of course, do the usual YouTube stuff like subscribing and liking if you enjoyed the video, since it helps me out a ton in the algorithm, and I'll see you guys next time.